Dispatch is a last mile delivery service, giving you, the driver, some options to make some extra money as a side hustle. But if we're honest, there seems to be a lot of options in the delivery space, including the parcel delivery space. So this video, it's going to be your intro to being a dispatch driver, comparing it not only to those other options, but of course, showing you pay examples, qualifications, and some certain unique factors about dispatch that does set it apart from other apps. Driver qualifications, pretty simple. Smartphone, valid driver's license, vehicle in fair condition, clean driving record, read and speak English, and at least 23 years of age or older. A little older than, let's say, some food delivery apps for comparison. Now, one thing off the bat here that's unique with Dispatch, which could disqualify you from other apps, specifically regarding your vehicle, is Dispatch does not have any logo or vehicle age restrictions. So if you're using, now you're going to use, of course, your personal vehicle, like most any gig app here. But if that vehicle is for your business or you're using it for business and it got some logoing on there, you can still use it on Dispatch. And again, not having any vehicle age restriction. Now, here's something that's also unique to Dispatch. So look at pickup truck. You can actually use an open or closed bed truck. Compare that, let's say, to Amazon Flex. You're immediately disqualified from using an open bed truck on Amazon Flex. Moving on to your background check, it's pretty straightforward, I'd say, pretty similar to other gig apps. They're using a different company to run your background check, Yardstick, versus most everyone else uses a company called Checker. Doesn't really matter here as far as the actual disqualifications, etc. You can see that listed down below. So getting your assignment on Dispatch is very similar to other delivery and parcel platforms. So I'm going to get my assignments or routed assignments with multi-stops, and I'm going to get the info on it, the miles, the pay, where it is, the pickup, the drop-off destination. And as an independent contractor, you're going to accept or decline that request. We're going to get into the actual details of how the order is sent to you in just a bit. So we already did one comparison with the vehicle type, right, on Dispatch versus Amazon Flex. But the company actually gives us direct comparisons to other platforms as well, which is interesting. They cite their platform versus Amazon Flex. Now, they cite the flexibility of being able to go offline and online as you like. Now, the only way you can really toggle online status on Amazon Flex is if you toggle on and off available now. Those available now orders on Amazon Flex are orders that are ready for pickup close by and usually within 15 minutes. Otherwise, on Amazon Flex, you're basically scheduling a shift. It can be Whole Foods runs on Amazon Fresh, or it can be the traditional warehouse runs, but that's going to be like a minimum 2-hour shift on Amazon Fresh or 3 to 4 hour shifts on the warehouse runs. They also say most of our deliveries occur during regular business hours. So if you want more predictability and knowing when you can get orders, that can be a benefit over Amazon Flex, given Amazon Flex does have pretty set times when they're actually running their shifts though. Now let's consider Dispatch versus UPS owned Roadie. Dispatch says they're showing their drivers the percent of times they're on time, punctual to pick up and drop off locations. They aim to, quote, encourage personal accountability and motivate more on-time deliveries. Now, why does that matter? Because when it comes to your driver standings and, importantly, how you get orders, they're really leveraging that punctuality and on-time percentage to deem your driver standing. And I'll compare that to Walmart Spark. Walmart Spark is prioritizing drivers in better standing, and Dispatch is doing something very similar here. So your driver's standing is based on a rolling average of on-time percentage over the last 80 deliveries. And I think that's really interesting that it's really only on-time percentage. Even Walmart Spark that I just mentioned has 4 or 5 different stats that they're leveraging here. This just says on-time percentage. Lower driver standings does not mean you won't see orders, but it will mean that drivers with a higher standing will see the orders before you. That's kind of important. Now, since you'll be new, pay attention to this. New drivers start with a fair but lower standing and must take at least 18 orders to begin moving up the ranks to be on par with more tenured drivers. I don't think that's the end of the world for you, but consider your marketplace. If you have just curveballs in construction, accidents, unforeseen traffic, even though these apps should have an algorithm that considers real world factors, just consider that for your market. As a driver, let's look at actual order examples and pay examples, the single routes versus the multi-stop deliveries, as that's what you're going to be seeing on a daily basis. Number one, I bet you can tell what this is without even having seen the app before. So like a lot of apps, there's hot zones. It doesn't guarantee an order, they say, but there are areas that are busier that might have more order requests. And they say this is updated in real time. Order type number one is what's called smart order matching. Now, these orders are available in the next 24 hours, and they'll be offered to drivers again, one at a time, based on their driver standing and location. You'll have 45 seconds to accept or decline an order before it's offered to the next driver. Now, that's actually the same as DoorDash, just for some comparison there. Now, if you swipe for more details, however, you'll get an additional 15 seconds to respond. So let's take a look at an order example. So here's our order example of the smart matching system, again, based on your driver's standing and location. So the biggest thing that I'm considering here are the staples of a side hustle using your vehicle, basically. What we teach you here, the dollars to mile ratio, how much am I getting paid for the miles driven, and then the dollars to time ratio, how much am I getting paid and how much time is it really going to take in the real world. So I'm looking right here first at the pay. That's number one, right? $53.21 in this example. Now we want to see all relevant info here. So they give us the mileage here, which is great. That's a standard. So 12.1 miles. Then I'm thinking immediately, what's the payout for that mileage? And that is quite good. Now this is quoted at 45 minutes. So I'm thinking, okay, the pay for the miles, it's quite good. And then the pay for the time it's going to take, that dollars to time ratio, that's really good as well. Now here's an earnings hack for you on any app that gives you one assignment at a time. And if it's not auto added for another order assignment on other platforms, you can manually pick up another assignment. You can do that on Shipt, on Instacart, and you can do that here on Dispatch as well. In essence, creating what's called a stacked order, 2 or more assignments for one driver. When you do that, especially when it's manually done, Shipt, Instacart, Roadie, and Dispatch here, among other apps here, because when it's automated on Uber Eats, let's say Grubhub, food delivery, that it's already optimized. But I don't want you to accept something on Dispatch where it's drop off A decently close by, and then you don't realize your next drop off B is 20 minutes away, and you're going to miss that delivery window. Dispatch says you can take 2 SAP and 3 standard and expedited deliveries at once. Now they even say at the bottom here, don't overcommit. So it's the same as all those other apps that I mentioned, Instacart, Shipt. If you're going to manually pick up more assignments, just make sure you can hit those delivery windows. Now, the second order type on Dispatch is the available tab. But I want to show you a week's example of driving for a Dispatch driver. So the company provided this, just a breakdown of your profile page on the driver app. So look here, we have $148 in this example, 14 total trips, 62 miles, which is good. Now, you want to track your miles as well. Don't just rely on really any of these apps. We actually have a newly updated spreadsheet with visuals to track some of your most important metrics. Pay per mile. You can log your miles driven there, which is important for tax purposes. That's at yourdrivermike.com. Click on resources. Things like engaged hours as well. So that's similar to let's say active and dash time on DoorDash. So I'm reading that as engaged hours of actual work when you're actually on assignment for Dispatch. Now let's look deeper into this example here, because actually what really matters for you as a driver is this. This is, of course, just an example, but $10.57 per order on average here. There's $2.39 per mile. There's that dollars to mile ratio that's so important. And then $15.58 per active hour. Now, I thought that's interesting that the dollars to mile ratio, it's good, $2.39. Our minimum for you on this channel is $1.75, $2 to $3 plus ideally. So that passes there. But the earnings per hour, $15.58, that is lower. I want you to hit $25 an hour. Gross revenue when you're working, I'd be happy with $20. 17 really is the floor. So this is getting down there a little bit lower. So to analyze that, I think this is a little bit more rare. Let me know down below in the comments to have a fine or higher pay per mile, but a not just lower, but a little bit significantly lower pay per hour, that something's eating up your time there. Either time in traffic, because again, the mileage is fine there. The time at the pickup or the drop off there. If this was grocery, I would say shopping, right? But if this was you in dispatch, just look at both of those metrics. But that second order type is this, the available tab offers. Now these ones are first come, first serve. Remember, the smart order matching is a one-by-one driver basis. These orders are orders that have passed through that smart order matching process without being accepted, and they'll show up here. Also, unlike the smart order matching, these are orders scheduled for more than 24 hours in advance. But again, keep in mind, any orders that did fall through that smart order matching, no drivers wanted it, it's also going to show up here. I mean, same thing here. It's 1525. I'm looking at those two metrics, 6.3 miles. It's not that bad. And it's quoted to add 15 minutes to your current route. And you can see if we want to add this to our current route, we just slide to accept. Now, this next part is really important. And if you got value so far, you can drop a like on this video, because I mentioned it's sliding in this case to accept and adding it to your route. So dispatch says they now prioritize orders for you instead of allowing you to prioritize yourself. And it says this will significantly change the experience of driving with dispatch. Continuing, unfortunately, it'll also limit your flexibility that you have when you're making a pickup for a dispatch order. Prioritize alongside other tasks and deliver when you are available. Now they say, hey, if you deliver orders on time, you'll continue to be offered orders that are a good match for your location and other orders on your route. But if flexibility in your day is a top priority, I'm betting it is, this change may mean fewer offers. So let me make sense of this. So what's happening here is if you do accept another order, maybe a third order, so now I have 3 stops, maybe 4 stops on my route, that dispatch is going to say, well, you accepted this new order and you accepted it down here after, but based on odd prioritization, delivery timeline windows, we may change the order of your drop-offs. So yes, like they say, that would limit your flexibility. It's going to limit your ability to prioritize alongside other tasks. So maybe you also, I'll just say, have DoorDash online, you're trying to multi-app in that sense. Amazon Flex has something similar. So when you're on the warehouse runs on Amazon Flex, you're going to have 20, 30, 40 plus stops. And that's going to be organized, optimized, I should say, for you by the Flex Driver app. But you can deliver those in any order that you want. Now, I like the predetermined routes because it's optimized instead of driving more miles. And some of those on Flex have designated time windows they have to be delivered to as well. So for dispatch, this seems pretty similar. It's, hey, if customer A really needs an order, we couldn't find a driver, we finally found a driver, so now we are pushing this to the top of your route. Just consider that. So now let's sign up to be a dispatch driver and show you the application process so you know what to expect. Now this is a little bit different here. It's kind of listed almost like a job listing, but keep in mind, you're an independent contractor, completely independent here. You're not an employee. Vehicle type, which is another thing that is most likely going to go into, do they need that type of driver versus car, midsize, and we're getting larger and larger. So obviously larger and larger pickups, pickup truck, cargo van, or a box truck. Need to be licensed for 2 years or more in the US, Canada, or US territory. Also, another possible advantage if you have any of this here, driver skills and certifications. You can see those listed here. And you're probably going to see more of this if you are going to do the larger deliveries, the truck, the cargo van, but all drivers are going to have to mark this here, ability to lift 50 pounds. And finally, here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for a driver using a car, I am on the wait list. Now, I always say this, it's important to note any of these platforms that have a wait list. If you're interested if you have the smallest bit of interest, you should sign up because A, it's free. It's going to be really simple to sign up and you could be immediately activated, or again, on a wait list. So let me know if you're interested in Dispatch and if you've signed up, if you got immediately activated, if you're on the wait list, what marketplace you're in, what kind of vehicle you're using. And hopefully that wait list isn't too long here in Pittsburgh using my Passat, so I can report back to you. Again, consider subscribing so you can be in the know there, and we can start to determine if Dispatch is worth it.